Welcome to the She's Bold podcast. I'm Beth Whitman. Hi, friends, and Happy New Year. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of the She's Bold podcast. This is where you hear my one-on-one conversations with inspirational women and the bold things they are doing. If you like what you hear and you want to support this ad-free show, you can do so by going to patreon.com/bebold. Patreon supporters help me bring these conversations to you. Really, it's a vote of confidence that you want to hear more positive and inspirational stories from and about women, and you are helping me to do just that by becoming a supporter with a donation of just $5 or more a month. As a patron, you'll get access to bonus audio content, have the ability to submit questions for me to ask guests, and women patrons are invited to become part of a private Facebook group. So thank you to our current Patreon supporters. Okay, so today's episode is the first of 2020. And I've actually been holding off on publishing a new episode featuring a conversation with a bold woman because I wanted to kick off the year with some of my own thoughts about being bold. And I've been mulling this over for the past few weeks, really giving it a good amount of thought. So this episode is a short one with some personal thoughts and reflections and a way to kind of wrap my own head around what it means to be bold and hopefully get you thinking about it as well as we head into a new year and a new decade. Now, you might have heard my recent episode of the podcast where Chris Fagan talked to me about running Epic 5, and that was just the last episode number 110. At the end of our conversation, she asked what I ask all guests. She wanted to know what it means to me to be bold. Now, ironically, I wasn't expecting that question, so I didn't have a quote-unquote prepared answer, which is exactly what I do to my own guests. I don't ask them to prepare an answer, and they would only know that I ask it if they had listened to one or more episodes, and I'm realistic enough to know that not all guests do. So what I found myself doing was answering Chris in the context of that conversation. I said that being bold to me was knowing yourself well enough to be able to question the story that you tell yourself and others. And that can be scary to really get to know yourself, and that's what makes it bold. Now, I have a mission statement for my life, one that stays the same on a daily basis and that comes up as a reminder on my phone every day. It's just part of my tasks, so it just pops up every day. That mission statement, it's a phrase, if you will, that I think about every day is every day to be a living example and to know that I'm a work in progress. What this means is that I want to live life in such a way that whatever I choose to do each day, that I live it in such a way that I can be proud of, that I want to be an example to others. But when I mess up, and we all do, I can remind myself that I'm human and that I'm a work in progress. And I realize that there's always the next moment, the next day, the next week where I can improve upon myself. There are always more chances to be a better version of myself. Now, that's my mission statement and what I think about every day. But it was when Chris asked me what it meant for me to be bold that I realized how the answer to that question can change based on many things, such as the context of the conversation or what's going on with a person on any given day or even moment. Now, unlike my mission statement, which has remained the same thus far since I gave it serious thought a couple of years ago, considering what it means to be bold can be and really should be fluid. Now, I've had the chance to hear more than 100 women tell me what it means for them to be bold. And if you haven't heard it yet, episode 100 is a roundup of these answers. And it's a pretty cool introduction to the podcast if you're a new listener. Many of my guests have said that it has to do with following your truth. But I've also been told that sometimes being bold is allowing yourself to retreat and to not feel the pressure to be bold. And I guess for some, that may be their truth, to be able to retreat. Ultimately, I realized that what may seem bold for one person may feel very easy to another person, or even what may seem bold on one day for a person, for me, for example, may come easier for that same person the next day or the next week, and therefore it's no longer bold. Do you know what I'm saying? I guess my point here is that we all grow, we change, we learn, we expand, and sometimes we contract. We're fluid. But the beauty of it all is that we can make choices about how we move forward in the world. We can make choices about how we are or are not bold. And that goes back to my response to Chris about being bold. In order to change our story, we have to know ourselves. We have to have at least some level of awareness about who we are now and who we want to be. And then we can start making choices. Once we get to know ourselves, we can then have some level of awareness about what challenges us and why those things are a challenge in the first place. Why a particular circumstance may come easy to someone else, but all we see are obstacles. We are feeling fear and we see all the what ifs, and that's what's stopping us. Now, the start of the year is a great time to think about these things. Just because we're partway through January doesn't mean all is lost. This is a lifelong process, and you make the rules. So start now. It is still January. It's still the start of the year. So it is a great time. And just to be clear, I'm not talking simply about making New Year's resolutions. I'm talking about giving some real consideration to not only what it means to you to be bold, but also what's holding you back from being bold. You know, a lot of times we don't want to examine what it is that's holding us back because that means we'll have to make changes. Who wants to do that? Who wants to actually do something that challenges us to our core? I don't. Look, here's a great example for myself. I know that I shouldn't eat sugar. It is bad for a person's body. I really do believe that it's poison. And I know that it's bad for me. It probably affects me more than most people. And that's just from observation and talking to people about how my body responds to it compared to how they respond to it. But I'm still addicted to it. And it's difficult for me to kick it. And I play tricks like an alcoholic would with alcohol. I hide it from myself, and we know how well that works because we're the ones who are doing the hiding. I make deals with myself around eating it or not eating it, but still I come back to it. So yeah, I get it. I get that change is difficult. But change and better health isn't going to come until I make better choices around my eating habits. Now, all that is to say, I feel your pain. I can relate to whatever it is you identify as something difficult to move through. But ultimately, you just have to ask yourself whether you want to be bold and make those changes that are going to impact your life in a positive way. All I'm asking you to do is take small steps. Doing big, challenging things is scary, but you don't have to set yourself up for failure by thinking big and then doing nothing. Because sometimes when you think big and you have a really big goal in mind, you become paralyzed and don't even know where to start. Now, take me, for example. If I thought about not eating sugar for the year, that would seem totally overwhelming. But if I just say, okay, today is my sugar-free day, I can do that. And at the end of the day, I'll feel like it's one for the win column. It's totally okay to take small steps. So yes, think about how you are going to challenge yourself this year, but also what about this month or this day? Look, I didn't start out running ultra endurance events. I didn't even know what those were when I started running a few miles around my neighborhood, but I ran a few miles. And then I ran 5. And I still remember the first time I ran 10 miles and was so proud of myself. And then I started training for a marathon. And then I wanted to do more because I wanted to test my limits. And yeah, most people aren't like me. I get it. But the point is that we don't pop out into this world doing big with a capital B things. We start out crawling before we can walk. But as you take more and more steps, you set up a new baseline for yourself. You get comfortable with small challenges, and then they don't seem so bold anymore. You then start thinking bigger, and you realize that it's small steps that get you to the bigger challenges. And then even the bigger challenges stop seeming so scary. Now, I want to leave you today with two things to think about. First, seriously consider your own personal mission statement, something that defines who you are, something to live by, a statement that you can think about and aspire to every day. Now, as a reminder, mine is every day to be a living example and to know that I'm a work in progress. Second, seriously think about what that means for you to be bold. And think about how that might change for you every day, every week, or month. Don't feel like that's the thing you need to lock into every day. You have your mission statement for that. But starting right now, give a new twist to everything you do and challenge yourself to take things one step further. Get out of your comfort zone, if you will. In the words of many of my guests, find your truth. Explore your inner world by journaling and truly taking time for yourself to think and ponder and consider who you are and who you want to be. Sometimes it just takes 5 minutes a day, just a little zoning out, staring out the window, putting pen to paper, staring into the fireplace, looking up at the blue sky. Give it some thought. Really, what does it mean for you to be bold? Thanks for listening to me. A truly happy 2020 to you all. I hope you get something out of that. I would actually love to hear from you if you've given this some thought, if you have a mission statement, if you're thinking about what it means for you to be bold on a daily basis, a weekly basis, monthly, yearly. What is it? What's 2020? We've got a whole year ahead of us. I'm so excited. Let me know. Beth at shesboldpodcast.com. I would love to hear from you. You can also leave a message for me at 877-280-5170 and just tell me in person. Maybe I'll play it on a future episode. That would be kind of fun. If you'd like to support the show and let me know how much you are inspired by these conversations and how much you look forward to hearing the uplifting stories from my guests, go to patreon.com/bebold. Patreon supporters get access to bonus content, get to submit questions for me to ask guests, and become part of our private Facebook group. Don't forget to check out my tours at wandertours.com. That's WANDER, wandertours.com. I have literally just posted our Gujarat, India tour that focuses on textiles and tribes. That is a women-only tour in March of 2021, and we've already started getting folks registered on that, and I just posted that yesterday. We also have space on the co-ed Papua New Guinea trips in August, and if you're interested in Ireland, Bhutan, Southeast Asia, hiking Machu Picchu, Galapagos, any of those places, just let me know. Send a note to Beth at shesboldpodcast.com, and I'll get you on the list to be alerted when other destinations are available. To keep up with me and all of my travels, including Morocco, I'm leaving for Morocco in just a couple of weeks. You can connect with me by friending me on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram at both Beth Whitwa, BETHWHITWA, and Wandergal, both on Instagram. Ladies, you can join the Be Bold Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/BeBold group for support and encouragement for whatever ways you're trying to be bold. Each week, ladies post photos of the things that they've done over the weekend that have been bold, and that has just been a hoot to see all the incredible things that you're doing out there. Thanks for joining me for another episode of the She's Bold podcast, and until next time, be bold.